Welcome to Unlocked, an NAMFS podcast. Our third episode of Season 2, Change to Partial Claims, Increased Foreclosure Starts, will highlight how this update to policy will impact the industry. Let's get started.
Good afternoon and welcome to episode 3 of season 2 of our NAMFS podcast. I'm so glad you all have joined me. Before we get started, I'd like to start with some introductions. First, I'm Kellie Chambers, President and CEO of G7 Service Group. We're a national field service inspections and preservation vendor. Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Schmidt. I'm President and CEO of DLS Servicing Consultants, which offers outsourcing of loss mitigation functions, as well as waterfallcalc.com, which is an online cloud-based loss mitigation calculation and analysis tool.
And I'm Eric Miller, Executive Director of NAMFS, and we're excited to have this conversation.
Great. So we're going to continue our theme this season of discussing HUD regulatory mortgagee letter changes that are affecting or are presumed to affect our volumes here in the next few months. In today's episode, we're going to talk about discontinuation of the COVID-related HUD partial claims. The most recent administration ended the COVID-related partial claims effective September 30th of 2025. Over the past several years, the COVID loss mitigation tools issued by HUD definitely provided critical relief to homeowners during the pandemic. It was unprecedented time, right? Partial claims in particular allowed borrowers to avoid foreclosure. In many cases, super helpful and super necessary for the sustainability of the housing industry and market in their local jurisdiction. But now as these COVID era options are phasing out, we definitely need to plan for a new operational chapter. So today we're going to bug Donna to help us understand that transition and how to anticipate operational impacts and identify the practical steps we all can take to stay ahead of those volume shifts that may be coming. So Donna, first question for you. With the discontinuation of the COVID partial claims, what does that mean for the borrowers currently in the pipeline of delinquency?
Well, there are other partial claims that are available, but the COVID era where there was basically no guardrails of any kind. And you basically, all you had to do was show up and ask for help and you got a partial claim. Frankly, after doing this for as many years as I have, the COVID program should have ended in 2022. The fact that they continued was a great disjustice to not only the FHA program, but also to the borrowers that were really struggling. And then, because what's happening now is your typical FHA borrower, 85% of them are first-time home buyers. Their average age is 38. If they really cannot afford to stay in the home, you've just prolonged it. And then every partial claim added a secondary lien on their property. And we have seen as many as 6 of these extra liens on the property. If they truly can't afford the house, then what you've done is you've eaten all their equity. We're down the road a couple more years, and now they're 43, 44, and now you're going to foreclose on them, and they are going to have nothing, and they have to start completely over again. So while the program itself was well-intentioned, it was poorly executed. It should have ended. Basically, the very beginning was great. Absolutely necessary. Totally agree with you. The continuation of it was terrible. So while there are new programs now, part of the programs now require a trial payment plan, so the borrower has to prove they can actually afford the payment. Otherwise, don't put another lien on their property. Don't keep going down the process. There's no need to if you truly can't afford the property. So that's the good part. One of the things, so we do believe there's going to be a lot of borrowers heading to foreclosure. Our estimates are about double from 2024 to 2026 and 2027, we're going to see coming down the pipeline. But one of the other interesting things that was in the mortgagee letter, and actually came out in a previous mortgagee letter, is where FHA is requiring that you give an opportunity to an FHA borrower early in the default cycle at about 45 days to have a meeting. So it can be face-to-face, it can be a webinar, it could be like what we're doing now, or just a phone call where the servicer is ready to talk about loss mit, all the different programs that are available, because there's 5 different programs available, and then the borrower is ready. Trying to talk to a borrower in the school pickup line with waiting for their kid is not productive. So this is where both parties are able to have that meeting. What we suggest our clients do is use property inspectors to deliver a hand postcard that explains this option is available. Because you try leaving messages, you try calling, you try sending letters, but sometimes that extra way of getting their attention is something that is extremely valuable. So we recommend our clients on that initial inspection at 45 days delinquent to issue a postcard with that message on it that can hopefully resolve this default very early in the process.
Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion. I think it fell by the wayside over the last few years. I think there was trepidation in reaching out to borrowers and leaving contact information on front doors. So great suggestion. I'm glad you brought that back to the forefront. So I hear that it sounds like you're anticipating an increase in foreclosure starts. We're certainly reading that in all of the publications from the different industry trade organizations, right? Do you think that the increase in foreclosure starts will also have an impact to the CWCOT activity and conveyances?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. Now that FHA, now our area expertise is not in foreclosure claim processing, but what we know from the changes and the clarifications we've gotten, FHA had a lot of loan partial claims they couldn't get paid back on. And so that's why they have tweaked their CWCOT claim process and why we may see more actual conveyances of properties, because even though the remaining balance on the first mortgage is lower, but like I said, you could have up to 6 partial claims sitting on a loan. And if you have 6 partial claims, those have to get somehow resolved. And so FHA will be looking to see what can they do to try to recapture some of that money. So yeah, I think there's going to be a ton more conveyances or a ton more loans heading into foreclosure, at least, depending on how that process is all going to work out.
Do you have a recommendation or two for how servicers should prepare for these increases in volumes?
The biggest thing is our company tends to operate, we kind of designed our company to be affordable and a hero to the small to mid-sized servicer. But at the same time, what we see is they need to right size their vendors. What we see is that if you don't have the right size vendor for your portfolio, you're going to get lost because everybody's volume is going up. And so if you're a small servicer and you're using really big vendors, you're the small fish in a really huge pond. So you want to start looking for vendors that you can work with that can help support you to help you through the process. Because let's face it, some of our clients only have, 10 people in all of servicing. It's hard to be a master of the detail that is required when it comes to FHA conveyances, property preservation, and all of that. Get in line with a property preservation company that meets your size. If you're a big servicer, stay with the big guys. If you're smaller, you might want to consider finding somebody that will help you be successful and that will have the time for you to walk you through the stuff that is hard for you to master.
That's an excellent recommendation, finding synergies with your vendors. I couldn't agree more. Partnership is about regular, consistent, frequent communication between the parties, and having similar goals in mind and being of said focus is certainly going to be really important in developing those synergies. That's great. In addition to, the delinquencies, the not being able to afford a home, which is unfortunate. We need a place for everybody to be and live, right? But they probably, what we're experiencing on the property preservation side is the homeowners haven't all been able to maintain the home. And so homes are coming into us at first time vacancy or during that initial secure with a lot of deferred maintenance as well. And nobody wants to be the neighbor to that property, right? Where they're bringing down the rest of the neighborhood. Eric, as our membership starts to do the inspections and the property preservation, these properties that may have suffered from deferred maintenance, what additional protections should they employ during this process with increased volumes?
I think it's, you mentioned early, it's communication, right? Communication with the clients, communication with their field teams. Again, really making sure that they accurately document the conditions at the property. We talked about doubling volumes, making sure that you have appropriate staffing or vendors to be able to do the work, because that's going to be critical to meet the timelines and everything along those lines. So I think, again, revisiting what your groups are good at. We've gotten out of what is a conveyance related pipeline because of CWCOT. So again, refreshing yourself on what the requirements are around conveyance, and then making sure that you accurately document everything at the property the first time, and then sticking with it every single time, reporting any kind of changes and reasons why that changed. I think those are going to be key for the success of everyone. We would really do believe that the industry can carry forward the collaborative spirit of the COVID area, but returning to stronger, more standardized compliance controls is absolutely critical today.
Can I throw
Excellent
something in
feedback.
there from our
Sure.
quality control aspect of our
Sure.
company? One of the biggest things we see in rejected FHA claim audits is the pictures weren't taken from the same angle. And so there was no proof that you cut the lawn, because if you took the picture of the high grass from the front porch and then took the picture of the cut grass from the sidewalk, FHA is not paying us on that. And so just reiterating, just put yourself in. Did you prove that you did this house here? And we actually had a client use a small preservation company many years ago, over 20 years ago, and they kept bringing the same junk from house to house and taking pictures of it, and FHA caught it. The same bicycle was showing up. Please don't do that. They will catch you.
Well said,
Sure.
Donna.
Yeah.
Well said. Great feedback. We've heard from a good mentor of mine used to always say, in our industry, we're guilty until proven innocent. And so make
Amen.
sure that photo documentation is there. That's such good feedback. So that's awesome, guys. So lucky to have you join us, Donna, for our episode today. For our membership, I think I'd like to conclude with Eric's recommendation. It's time to have a renewed emphasis on your timeliness and your documentation and your quality control processes, because the volume's going to go up and there's going to be additional scrutiny on everything that we're doing. So that's great. Thanks for joining us. I hope you guys join us next time on episode 4. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening to Unlocked, a NAMFS podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the NAMFS YouTube channel or follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. We'll be back next Wednesday with another Season 2 conversation, and we look forward to having you join us.
Welcome to Unlocked, an NAMFS podcast. Our third episode of Season 2, Change to Partial Claims, Increased Foreclosure Starts, will highlight how this update to policy will impact the industry. Let's get started.